Hi everyone, I'm Maria McLachlan and I'd like to dedicate this video to the man who calls himself variously Tara Wolf, Tara Flickwolf, Tara Wood, Tara Flickwood. He's had other names as well, but he seems to think that at birth he was named Female You Cunts, which, if it were true, would explain a lot. I'll stick with Tara Wolf, which I believe is the name under which he was convicted. That's the thing that distinguishes him from a great many other young men, and certainly most young women, the fact that 2 years ago, at the age of 26, he was convicted of assault on a 60-year-old woman, me. He committed the assault after he had publicly asked where a group of us were going to be meeting because he wanted to fuck some TERFs up. A comment, he explained in court, was just bravado. His defence, that he was acting in self-defence or in defence of another, was rejected by the judge, and if you want to see just how absurd that defence is, do take a look at the actual video evidence of what happened, which I have helpfully put together all in one video for you. It was reported on Feminist Current website that on the day of his conviction, Wolf wrote on his Facebook page that I'm a man, so he was really guilty of misandry, hatred of men. At least he admits he was guilty of hatred. Obviously, the part about me being a man was a joke. It's one I've seen a few trans activists make about me. Here's a similar one from Xenia Jones. And I'm fine with jokes like that. It's never made me want to physically assault any of them, but then, unlike them, I'm not actually a bloke, so I'm less likely to think that way. Of course, joking that I'm a man might work a bit better if I in any way resembled a man and wasn't quite so gorgeous. Okay, that was a joke, although I don't think I come off too badly compared to what Tara Wolf and Xenia Jones and many others will look like if they get to my age. The other thing Wolf did that same day, the day of his conviction, and is still doing to this day, is to proudly boast that he's a TERF slayer. So what has prompted this video? Well, I was alerted to the fact that Tara Wolf was in Thailand learning Thai boxing by someone who'd seen this information on some Facebook page or other. I went to the page and I saw there a video of a fight that Tara the TERF slayer had lost against this little chap. I impulsively posted a comment beneath it and I forgot about it until I was alerted to 2 comments that Tara Wolf had made, I think, on his own Facebook page. The first one was telling TERFs to get to fuck, and then another one was stating that he needs to control his emotions while revealing that the TERF he had in mind was me and that he wanted to smash my face in proper. What on earth had I said to make him so angry? I'd genuinely forgotten, and when I went back to the page, my comment had of course been deleted, but fortunately I was able to retrieve it. It turns out that I suggested he stick to beating up old women in the UK, and I provided a link to the report on Feminist Current. I mean, where's your sense of humour, Tara? Again, it's obviously a joke. Of course, I don't really think you should beat up old women, much as you clearly want to. But if you think you can launch an unprovoked assault on someone a lot older than your own mother, express no remorse, in fact, boast about it, and expect me to shut up about it forever afterwards, think again. Actually, I am delighted that the he-wolf posted further evidence that he is exactly what I've always said he is, a misogynistic thug. I mean, his favourite word for women who won't bend to his manly will is cunts. Charmed, I'm sure. I was bemused to see the response to my comment from one of Wolf's handmaidens, one, or perhaps we should call her, of Tara. Please stop stalking Tara. Is she for real? Posting one comment on a public Facebook page is stalking, is it? Of course, there's no danger of Tara telling this violent thug that he really shouldn't launch unprovoked attacks on women, shouldn't boast about them, and shouldn't be threatening more violence against me 2 years later. No, he can do what he likes, but I should just shut the fuck up, right? Wrong. When I searched online, I quickly found that is a signatory to a statement entitled, "It's spelt sisterhood, not sis-terhood." Yes, handmaidens, we know how it's spelt and we know what it means, and we reject this ridiculous ideological cis nonsense. I have, by the way, a glossary in the top menu bar of my website at peaktrans.org that explains these terms if you're not familiar with them. The statement that signed was published on some anarchist site called Freedom News a few weeks after Tara Wolff's trial in April 2018. I just want to highlight one part of it. Here we go. "We despise the use of the state to police our politics, bodies, personality and identities." Oh, me too. Isn't it shocking how many of us are getting reported to the police just for saying things that hurt trans activists' feelings? Here's more. When the TERFs recently prosecuted an anarchist trans woman for assault with the help of the Metropolitan Police and the Magistrates' Court, they seemed a bit muddled about how our legal system works. I was not the prosecutor, you fools. I was a witness for the Crown. Here we go. "They sent a message to us. They believe that their opinions are more important than the well-documented physical and mental risks the police and the court system pose to minorities. We think this is abhorrent." What the Isn't that just the most brilliant example of gaslighting ever? Here's an idea. If you don't want to land up in court, don't follow a bunch of peaceful women to a public meeting place, don't stand there yelling at us, trying to drown out our voices, and don't run up and assault us when we start filming your ridiculous antics. They continue. "We will never accept snitching to the police after an event when the personal risk is over to be a valid form of resistance." Snitching to the police? Right, so if a bunch of men punch and kick a woman, she shouldn't report it, she shouldn't demand that they are brought to justice. And what if she was raped? What if she was stabbed? What if it's a child who's been violently or sexually abused by an adult? Is there any event after which snitching to the police is acceptable? Or are you seriously arguing for a world in which women and children can be assaulted and abused with impunity? This is your feminism, is it? No wonder Tara Wolff loves you, handmaidens. Finally, what's more, while punching people is almost never a good thing, what needs to be pointed out here is that claims this was an example of male-on-female violence are unfounded and bigoted. Really? So what was it then? Are you, in all seriousness, suggesting that Tara Wolff is female, that he's the same as me? Well, apart from being 35 years younger, of course. So what exactly is it that makes Tara Wolff female, which is, of course, the name of one of the two sexes, not genders, sexes that are defined by their respective reproductive function? I would love to hear your explanation of how Tara Wolff can be female, how this part of the misogynistic ideology you are enthralled to works. But I know I will never get an explanation from you because you don't have one, because you know, as well as I do, that it's all bullshit. Tara Wolff is male, Tara Wolff is a man, Tara Wolff is a violent thug who boasts of having assaulted a woman. So, and the rest of you handmaidens, don't tell me I shouldn't keep an eye on what this man says and does. Everybody should watch out for him because he is a danger to women. He can't control his emotions long enough to write a tweet without expressing a violent fantasy. Of course, he may not be a danger to women like you, who are enablers and excusers of male violence, but he is a danger to feminists. That means women who stand up to the male entitlement displayed by the likes of Wolff. Now, one more thing. A lot of people have drawn my attention to a recent, very malicious, not to mention libelous, article about me on the same website, written by an anonymous coward, and there really is nothing I despise more than someone who lies and defames a named person but who doesn't have the guts to own what they say. The article is called "De-turfing Speaker's Corner." I like that. but then it refers to Hyde Park Corner as if they are the same place, when in fact they are different corners of the same park and over half a mile apart. What an idiot. The pseudonym they use is Helena Steele, S-T-E-A-L. That is a name remarkably close to one of the great feminist heroes of our time, Helen Steele with double E. When I saw it at the bottom of that article, I had no doubt it was a name invented by someone with an impoverished imagination and unbelievable depth of malice, as well as jealousy of the respect and admiration Helen Steele commands. Once I'd read the article, I realised it was also someone with all the intelligence of a sack of manure. I don't need to go through all of it because it just repeats the same false narrative that is already refuted by the video that I made recently, and which shows how I am attacked by Tara Wolff and 2 other men and how I fought back. There is nothing that the trans activists and their handmaidens hate more than when women fight back, and that's why they resort to making stuff up. They don't link to my video, of course. They don't engage with or try to rebut anything I say or show in that video, but it does get a mention as rambling. And the blogs I've written about both the assault and the trial are described as overlong. Yes, they are long, because I'm not prepared to compromise on detail, on facts, on evidence, or on accuracy. These are alien concepts to trans activists, and of course people who are as cerebrally challenged as they are don't have great attention spans. Hilariously, they claim the assault on me, what they call the incident, resulted in the persecution of Tara Wolff. Poor Tara Wolff commits an unprovoked act of violence and then has to answer for it. No, Wolff is not the one who was persecuted as a result of what he started. I'm going to highlight one extremely defamatory paragraph that shows just how evil these people are. Here we go. Notably, McLachlan has a history of abuse and stalking. No, I don't. That's a flat-out lie. In the past, she has also targeted alternative medicine provision. Yes, I have certainly campaigned against alternative so-called medicine, also known as quackery, given that misplaced faith in it has claimed many lives, including the lives of babies and children who had no choice in the matter. That is something I will continue to do whenever the opportunity arises. And talking of opportunities, let me take this opportunity to introduce you to one of my websites. It's called discoverhomeopathy.co.uk. If you go there, pay particular attention to the victims page, where you can read about the needless deaths of people who trusted in one of the darkest pre-science cult therapies invented by humankind. Given that the anonymous, cowardly anarchists will defend and justify violence against women, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if they were okay with people dying in this way. But I've no idea why they think my campaigning against dangerous quack therapies gives any credence to the very serious allegations they make about me. Finally, they say, a veritable multitasker when it comes to abuse, McLachlan's resume includes heinous and racist attacks on Muslims, targeting in particular women who wear hijab. She goes so far as to imply support for the EDL, whose texts and rhetoric are indistinguishable from the drivel she herself has written. Her aggressive, vindictive attacks have been going on too long. This is a complete fabrication from start to finish. I have never made a racist attack on anyone, and as I said in my last video, there is not one iota of evidence that I have. All this paragraph does is illustrate the depths to which these people will sink to try and smear me because they can't defeat me using reason and evidence. There are a couple of links from that paragraph, both of them to blogs I wrote over 10 years ago. Of course, they don't quote from my old blog posts, they just link to them, probably in the belief that their usual readership will just take their word for what they say about me. And they're probably right. One of their links is to a blog post I wrote very soon after the EDL, the English Defence League, had emerged in Luton. And in that post I say that although I understand and share the anger at terrorist attacks and honour killings that might drive young people into the arms of the EDL, I hope they would steer well clear and lend their support instead to intelligent, progressive initiatives like the One Law for All campaign and the Council of Ex-Muslims. Both of these initiatives are led by my friend Mariam Namazi, tireless and incredibly courageous human rights campaigner, feminist, secularist, communist, and one of the most awesome people I know. The other blog post they link to is called Bugger the Burqa. It's a criticism of the burqa, which I call a symbol of women's oppression, and it's not a racist attack in any shape or form. Now, if you disagree, if you want to take a cultural relativist stance, let's have a debate. You know, a grown-up one, where someone presents arguments, as I did in that blog post, and someone else presents counter-arguments without personal attacks and lying. Do you think you can manage that? I doubt it. I stand by every word in that post, which was under my own name, because, unlike you, I'm a feminist and not an anonymous coward and abuser. Make no mistake, making up and spreading nasty, vicious lies about me is abuse and persecution. I realise the intention is to try to intimidate me into silence, and I can assure you it will only ever have the opposite effect. Thanks for watching. Bye.